Hi everyone, I'm John Banther, and Classical Breakdown will be going on a summer break. But don't go anywhere just yet, I have some required summer listening for you. But after this, the next episode will come out on September 1st. A big thanks to everyone who's made this first season a success. Some highlights for me have been episode 6, when the Abeyo Quartet came on and performed a new work by Alistair Coleman called Moonshot. I also loved episode 10, What Does a Conductor Do? And of course, episode 21 with NSO Principal Flute Aaron Goldman telling us all about the flute. I personally had no idea flutes date back tens of thousands of years and were made out of things like bones from bears and birds. Okay, so this summer listening isn't required, but I highly recommend it. I have 3 different albums I want to share with you, and I'll put links on the show notes page at classicalbreakdown.org on where and how to listen. The first is also perfect for summer. It's pianist Laura Downs in an album called Florence Price Piano Discoveries, and it was released earlier this year. And these really are discoveries. In 2009, a couple bought a house outside of Chicago that had not been occupied in years. Up in the attic, they found several boxes which contained unpublished works by American composer Florence Price. Since then, much of it has been published and performed, and in this recording by Laura Downs, some of them are world premiere recordings too. What makes this album perfect for summer is that I think it is great music for listening to while going on a walk. Obviously, that's something a lot of us are doing these days. And these are short piano works, a few minutes long, and many give off a strolling along the sidewalk in summer atmosphere, like the first piece, Meditation. There's also music like On a Quiet Lake, Summer Moon, music about roses, and this one that I think everyone can relate to called First Romance. I think you see what I mean about this kind of summer music vibe. The music is distinctly American, but you'll find varied styles here as well. For instance, when I think of Impressionism, my mind immediately goes to late 1800s, early 1900s France with Debussy, Fauré, and Ravel. But I can hear Florence Price here doing an Impressionist style in this piece called Clouds. So is this music accompanying the clouds high above, or maybe it's music in the mind of someone watching the clouds drift by? I think there's so many ways to listen and enjoy this music, something to think about while going on a walk. So that's Laura Downs in her piano album called Florence Price Piano Discoveries. Next is something completely different and something you may have never even heard of before. It's a 2009 recording of one of today's most accomplished trombonists, Jürgen von Ryan. He's principal trombone of the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra, and he's in high demand as a soloist, and he has many recordings. This album features an instrument called the sackbut. Yes, you heard me right, sackbut. It was a type of trombone used in the Renaissance and Baroque periods, roughly around 1500 to 1750. Jürgen's album is called Sackbut Trombone in the 17th and 18th centuries. And the sackbut functions like a modern trombone, but it sounds and looks different. I'll put a picture on the show notes page, but the sound is different than a modern trombone in that it's a little softer around the edges. The sound isn't as bright. It's still rich and colorful, but different. I also love the energy and color of the music from this time period combined with this instrument. For instance, this sonata for violin, sackbut, and continuo by Antonio Bertali. There's also works recorded here that are still performed on the trombone today, like the Concerto in B-flat by Johann Georg Albrechtsberger. There's also another standard in the repertoire by Georg Wagenseil, some other pieces, and even a concerto by Mozart's father, Leopold Mozart. I really hope you check this one out. It will broaden your point of view on the trombone from a time period we don't usually associate with the trombone, and also combine with instruments we don't usually hear in a chamber music setting with trombone. Next is a recent album from 2020 and has some music of Beethoven. Of course, we are celebrating Beethoven at 250 this year. The album is called Key of A, and it features violinist Laura St. John and pianist Matt Herskowitz. And why is it called Key of A? Well, it features two prominent violin sonatas in A major, the number 9 Kreutzer by Beethoven and the violin sonata by César Franck. But this is not your typical recording. Here's what Laura St. John said about it. I'm a bit of a strange violinist, and when I was a kid, supposed to be learning all of these normal works that folks do, instead I was learning Bartók's solo sonata and Debussy and Beethoven's concerto and 10th sonata, and I just sort of missed some of these more normal pieces. I learned both of these sonatas rather late in life, in my late 20s. When I first asked Matt to do the Franck, I had performed it once or twice before, but had never been entirely free of normal pianist's ideas of tradition, which I found hobbling and somewhat nonsensical. As for the Beethoven 9, I had been waiting for a pianist who would be able to keep up with the extremes I envisioned for this piece, tempo and volume-wise. Obviously, old Ludwig wanted the pianist to improvise, which is what Matt does in the piano cadenzas. And this is what I love. Musicians today really doing something different with these established works. Here's an example of them playing the Beethoven Violin Sonata No. 9. I think it's safe to say that Laura found a pianist who can really keep up with the extremes she envisioned. And I find this kind of raw passion in Beethoven's chamber music refreshing. And the Franck Violin Sonata is equally as passionate and exciting. Just listen to this example from towards the beginning. The tempo is brighter, the piano is more playful, and the violin is vibrant, colorful, and also alluring. This recording has given me a completely new way of looking at this sonata. There is a bonus work too, a familiar dance by Fritz Kreisler, played by Laura St. John and Matt Herskowitz in a way you could only expect after listening to the album in full. So that's it. 3 albums I think you need to listen to this summer. Music to experience summer by with Laura Downs and Florence Price. Expand your instrument palette with Jürgen von Ryan and the Sackbut. And a fresh look at familiar repertoire by Beethoven and Franck with Laura St. John and Matt Herskowitz. Give these a listen, and if you want, let me know what you think. My email is classicalbreakdown@weta.org. Thank you so much for making this first season a success. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you love it, leave a review. I'm John Banther. I'll see you September 1st. Thanks for listening to Classical Breakdown from Classical WETA.